After that night, nothing looked different. That was the strangest part. My parents still hosted Sunday dinners. My father still carved the roast with the same careful precision, slicing evenly, handing plates across the table like he always had. My mother still laughed at the same stories, still touched my arm when she spoke, still asked Emily if she wanted more potatoes. But something invisible had shifted. I started noticing how often my mother watched Emily when she thought no one was looking. Not with dislike, with attention. Focus, as if she were studying her. Emily noticed it too. "She doesn't blink sometimes," Emily said one evening after dinner at my parents' house. "It's like she's memorizing me." I wanted to defend my mother. It was instinct, automatic. But I didn't. Because I had seen it too. Around that time, my mother began inviting Emily over without me. Just coffee, just errands, just small things. At first, Emily found it sweet. "She says she never had a daughter-in-law like this," Emily told me. "She talks about you all the time." That should have made me happy. Instead, it unsettled me. My mother never talked about my father that way. Weeks passed. Then months. My father grew quieter. Not withdrawn exactly. Just absent. Like he was there in body but somewhere else in his mind. He stopped correcting my mother when she exaggerated stories. Stopped pushing back when she made decisions for him. He looked tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. One night, after dinner, I found him alone on the porch, staring out at the dark yard. "You okay?" I asked. He nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" I almost asked. But I didn't. Because in my family, we didn't press. We respected silence. We mistook it for peace. Emily's closeness with my mother deepened. They texted, called, shared things. One afternoon, Emily mentioned casually, "She told me about a time she almost left your dad." I froze. "What?" She said they went through a rough patch years ago. That she felt invisible? Invisible? The word stuck to me. My mother had never said that to me before. That night, I lay awake listening to Emily breathe beside me, wondering what else my mother had shared. What else she had kept hidden all these years. The next sign came quietly. Emily started changing. Not dramatically. Subtly. She became more careful with her words around me, more reflective. She asked questions about my childhood, about my parents' marriage. Did they ever fight? Did your dad ever disappear for days? Was your mom always intense? I answered honestly, no. They were solid. Always together. Emily nodded, but her eyes didn't agree. One evening, she came home from my parents' house pale. "What happened?" I asked. "She cried," Emily said. "My mom?" "Yes." She said she gave up her entire life for her family. That she never chose herself. That she was lonely even when your father was in the room. That was the first time I felt anger. Not at Emily. At my mother. Because why was she telling my wife these things? Why was she leaning on her? Why was she opening wounds that weren't Emily's to carry? I confronted her gently. "You don't need to burden Emily with that," I said over the phone. She paused. "I'm not burdening her," she said calmly. "She understands me." That sentence landed wrong. Understood me, as if I didn't. After that, my mother pulled back from me. The calls slowed, the warmth cooled, but her connection with Emily didn't. It intensified. Then came the night everything almost surfaced. Emily and I argued. Nothing major, just stress, money, work, life. I slept on the couch. The next morning, Emily was distant, quiet in a way that felt final. Later that day, my mother called. "She's sensitive," she said. "You need to be careful with her heart." I felt something snap inside me. "How do you know what happened?" I asked. Silence. "She told me," my mother said. I hung up without saying goodbye. That night, I asked Emily directly, "What do you tell my mother?" Emily hesitated. "She listens," she said. "Sometimes better than you do. That hurt." But what hurt more was realizing I had allowed this closeness to grow unchecked. I had trusted that love naturally stayed in its place. I was wrong. Because love, when it has no boundaries, becomes something else. Something dangerous. My father noticed before I did. One evening, he pulled me aside. "She's in the middle of things she shouldn't be," he said quietly. "Who?" He looked toward the kitchen, where my mother and Emily were laughing together. "Your mother." That was the first time I had ever heard him say it like that. Without affection. Without softness. Just truth. And behind that truth, fear. He didn't explain further. He didn't need to. Something was already moving beneath the surface of our family. Something slow and patient. And inevitable. And none of us knew yet how much it would destroy. There is a moment in every betrayal where you feel it before you understand it. A tightening in the chest. A sense that something sacred has been violated, even if you can't yet name what it is. For me, that moment came on an ordinary Tuesday. Emily didn't come home on time. No message. No explanation. I didn't panic at first. I trusted her. I trusted my family. Those were the two things I believed were unbreakable. When she finally walked through the door, her eyes were red. Not from crying, from restraint. "Where were you?" I asked. She hesitated. "At your parents' house." That alone shouldn't have mattered. But the hesitation did. She moved past me, took off her coat, and stood by the window like she needed air. "She told me something," Emily said quietly. "Who?" "My mother-in-law." That phrase felt wrong coming from her mouth. Too formal. Too distant. "She told me she's in love," Emily continued. I laughed once, sharply. "With Dad?" Emily didn't answer. The silence answered for her. I felt something hollow out inside me. "With who?" I asked, even though my body already knew. Emily swallowed. "With me, I remember sitting down because my legs gave out. I remember staring at the floor, noticing a crack in the wood I'd never seen before. "That's not possible," I said. "She's confused. She's projecting. She kissed me," Emily whispered. The room tilted. Emily rushed to explain how it just happened, how she froze, how she pushed her away, how my mother cried afterward, shaking, saying she had never felt understood like this before. "She said she didn't mean to hurt anyone," Emily said. "She said she loved you. She said she hated herself for feeling this way." I couldn't hear anymore. Because every word rewrote my childhood. Every memory suddenly felt contaminated. I drove to my parents' house that night. My father answered the door. One look at my face, and he knew. "She told you," he said. I walked past him into the living room where my mother sat, hands folded, calm as ever. "You crossed a line," I said. She didn't deny it. "I didn't plan it," she said softly, "but I won't apologize for how I feel." That was the moment love died in my chest. Not because she felt something, but because she chose herself over everyone else. My father stood behind me, silent. "You knew," I said to him. He nodded slowly. "I hoped it would pass." Hope. The weakest shield. The weeks that followed were chaos. Emily moved out. Not to punish me, not because she didn't love me, but because she couldn't breathe inside the wreckage. My parents stopped speaking. My mother blamed my father for years of emotional neglect. My father blamed himself for ignoring the signs. Everyone blamed everyone. Except my mother. She never apologized to Emily. She awakened something, she said. That's not a crime. But it was. Because awakening something doesn't excuse acting on it. The betrayal spread outward. Extended family chose sides. Friends stopped calling. My childhood home became a place I could no longer enter without feeling sick. Emily and I tried counseling. But how do you repair a marriage poisoned by a parent's desire? Every touch felt unsafe. Every memory felt watched. In the end, Emily left quietly. I don't hate you, she said, but I can't rebuild myself inside your family's ruin. That sentence followed me for years. My mother moved away. New city. New life. My father stayed behind in the same house, alone, surrounded by ghosts. And I was left with a love story that had been stolen from me by the one person who was supposed to protect it. Time doesn't heal betrayal. It only teaches you how to live around the scar. Years passed. I rebuilt my life carefully. New routines. New relationships that never reached the depth Emily had. Trust became something I rationed. My mother and I spoke rarely. Polite, shallow, controlled. She never asked about my father aged quickly. Guilt bent his spine more than years ever could. Then came the call. My mother was dying. Cancer, fast, unforgiving. I flew to see her. She looked smaller, frail, but her eyes were still sharp. You came, she said. I needed closure, I replied. She nodded. So did I. She didn't defend herself this time. She spoke of loneliness, of regret, of realizing too late that love without boundaries is selfish, not brave. I broke something sacred, she said, and I lived long enough to understand it. I asked the question that had haunted me for years. Did you love her more than us? She shook her head. I loved how she made me feel, she said. And that was my sin. She died 2 days later. At the funeral, my father stood beside me trembling. I failed you, he said. I shook my head. We all did, I replied. Years later, I ran into Emily by chance. She was married, happy, grounded. We spoke kindly, carefully. Before we parted, she said, I'm sorry that love was turned into something ugly for you. So am I thought. But betrayal teaches you this. Love isn't proven by how deeply you feel. It's proven by the lines you refuse to cross. And some families learn that lesson too late.